Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, we are talking about Auroradon Halqifibrax Tenyi. Or Tenyi Swordsoul, I should say. This is a deck that I'm sure most of you know and are familiar with, so I'm just going to do the quick card by card, not as much of an explanation, because the duels that we have are mwah, chef's kiss. So, yeah, let's just hop into this real quick. First of all, we are playing two Garnets. One of them is a hard Garnet, one of them is not. Despot 001 is the soft Garnet, the card that you can draw and it still works, but you don't want to draw. And then O-Lion, you just straight up don't want to draw, ever, period. So, yeah, those are the only two cards that we straight up don't want to draw. Moving on, we are playing triple Adhara, we are playing triple Ashana, and double Vishada, pretty standard for the Tenyi line. We are playing quite a few hand traps in triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, one Nibiru, and one Imperm. More than I normally play, but less than a lot of other people can play, or what you tend to play. As for other tech cards, we are also playing one Harpy's Feather Duster, two Droplets, and two Called By. Realistically, I should be playing things like Crossout Designator and some more hand traps just to utilize with Crossout, but in all honesty, it's fine. Moving on, we are playing a lot of other cards for the Swordsoul engine. We're playing triple Moye, double Taya, triple Long Yuan, and double Ecclesia. This is pretty standard. Yeah, all in all, not too much going on there. We're playing two Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. I cut this down to two because it was kind of a brick. You did specifically have to have a non-effect monster, which is easy to do with a Tenyi, but more difficult to do with a Swordsoul, and just kind of difficult overall to have the search of the Tenyi be actually very useful. Yeah, again, it's nice if you have it with a Tenyi. If you don't have it with a Tenyi, it's not as useful. Just because you can't, like, summon the Tenyi that turn. As for the extra deck, let's just go through the cards. We are playing Herald of Arclight and Borreload Savage Dragon to make off of the Crystron Halqifibrax / Auroradon line. We are also playing the one Yazi, Evil of the Yangzing, two Baxia, yeah, pretty standard, two Baxia. And then we are playing one Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. This card could also be cut. You could also cut a Boxia, you could also cut a Herald, and throw in other things. So if you're needing cards to cut, there you go. We're playing two Chi-Xiao. We're also playing one Ready Rose. This actually never came up, but it is still very good because it does banish all cards from the graveyards. So if you're playing against like an Eldritch, you could just banish everything. It's very good in like grind game situations where just banishing everything all of a sudden gets you the effects of like your Emergence, or more importantly your Blackout, and stuff like that. Moving on, one Baron and one Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying. This card is absolutely crazy, and I do want to talk about it real quick. If this card would be destroyed, you can buy card effect, you can banish a card from your graveyard instead, and then if a card is banished just in any way, that means if they called by, if they banish for like an Eldritch effect, if they do just anything, just any sort of banish effect, which there are a lot of, you can banish a card from both your opponent's side of the field and graveyard, non-target. Quick effect. Absolutely crazy. Moving on, we are playing two Monk of the Tenyi, one Crystron Halqifibrax, and one Auroradon. So let's just hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs, because it's super cool. Before we hop into the duels, let me just say that over 80% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed. So if you find yourself coming back on the regular, you can always subscribe, and if you end up finding that you don't like the content anymore, you can always unsubscribe later. It's free, it's fun, and it allows me to continue making content for you guys on the daily. So, if you like the content, consider subscribing. Anyway, let's hop into the duels. Alright, so here we are going first. Yeah, we do get to go first. We do have kind of a mismatched hand, but with Ecclesia as well as Vishada, it should be fine. But I do want to say that I actually got to Diamond with this deck, and we are playing we played against a lot of other Swordsoul players, so just all in all, you should know how the deck plays itself, and if you know how the deck plays, you're able to counter it. So there you go. Let's move on. We're going to activate Vishada here, and they are going to chain Maxi. Luckily, we have two Ash Blossoms and a Called By in our hand, so we can just drop one of these Ash Blossoms to prevent my opponent from activating anything. And even if they had something like a Gamma here, we would be able to Called By it. So all in all, we are fine. But overall, we are just going to special summon out the Vishada. and then link off into a Monk of the Tenyi. At this point, we will normal summon out our Ecclesia to special summon out Taya. The reason that we had to go for the Monk of the Tenyi is because Taya here is the only actual reasonable summon. We could have also gone for a Moye here. The problem is we don't get to summon out the Vishada with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for the Taya here, and then go into a Chi-Shao. Chi-Shao effect is going to activate, and we are going to, in response, chain the Taya. Taya is then going to send in Ashana. Ashana is then going to banish itself in order to special summon out An Adhara. We also searched Emergence here. So, yeah, we will drop the Emergence, search out Protoss. Now, Protoss is absolutely crazy, and I'll show you why. First of all, we're going to go into Monk of the Tenyi, and then activate the Adhara in order to search out the Vishada here. And then we will banish 3 different attributes. We have an Ash Blossom, we have a Ecclesia, so a fire, a light, and an earth from our Monk of the Tenyi by banishing it from the field. I didn't really care for the Monk of the Tenyi being on the field. It doesn't really do anything. But with Protoss, we can call Dark. Our opponent cannot special summon any Dark monsters, and we will pass the turn. They're going to go for Pot of Desires. I say, no, no, no. We are going to Ash Blossom that. Please do not draw cards. Thank you. We do also have the Called by the Grave as well as Chi-Shao as interruption. So that's the best that we can do here. They're going to go for the Adhara, special summon itself, and as you can see, we are in the mirror match, and they are basically going to make a similar play to us. The difference is that we have called by for their Ecclesia, so they better have something else here. They don't. They pass the turn. Cool, fantastic. This makes things pretty simple. So we are going to go for the Vishada here to bounce, and it's Blackout. Oh, Blackout hurts a lot. They do get to wipe our field, and we basically can't do anything about it. So they're going to wipe our field. We are just going to call Dark once again and proceed to battle phase with the Protoss. We're going to set this imperm and pass the turn. Now, the only thing at this point that they can realistically do is if they have another worm in hand and they have a long one, that wins them the duel. If they don't, we win, basically, because of this imperm. So they search Emergence, and I go, oh no, and then they search Moye, which is perfect for us. They're going to reveal the Vishada, which they cannot summon off of Protoss. We reveal the Infinite Impermanence, negate the effect, they end the turn. Fantastic. So we're just going to keep calling Dark, knowing that our opponent has a Vishada. So we're going to call Dark, attack in, floodgate them out of the duel. Also, sorry, if you didn't know what Protoss did, let me explain it real quick. You can special summon it by banishing 3 monsters with different attributes from the graveyard or face-up field. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, you can declare a monster attribute on the field. Destroy all monsters on the field with that attribute also until the end of the next turn. Neither player can special summon monsters with that attribute. Sorry I didn't explain this earlier, but yeah, there you go. Absolutely insane card. They're going to set a card and pass the turn. We do have Blackout, which is absolutely crazy here. So I'm going to once again call Dark. We're going to proceed to battle, attack in, pass the turn. Happy day. We do have Long One as a follow-up, potentially. So, oh, here we go. There's the Long One of their own. They are going to special summon a token. I'm going to pop their 2 cards, as well as, well, it's a called by. But since Protoss cannot be destroyed by card effect, it sticks around. They are going to activate the Vishada to bounce a Protoss, and I go, that's actually way better for me, just because we are able to now pitch it off of the long one in order to go for a level 10. Now, they still can't special summon any darks because this is a lingering effect, so they just can't. So there you go. We draw Moye, which is absolutely insane. I'm going to reveal the long one, special summon out the token, and they realize the game is over. Alright, and here we are once again going second, actually, this time. But we did draw O-Lion, which kind of sucks. They're going to activate Pot of Prosperity, which is really weird, seeing as how they are playing Tri-Brigade, as you can see. They're playing Tri-Brigade, which is very interesting. They actually add Max C here, which sucks for us. But they are going to go for the Rescue Cat here. Rescue Cat into Kit and Karos. Link off into a Farigit. And then they will activate Kit, send Nerval effect, search out the Fractal. Now, I'm okay with all of this happening just because we do have the Droplets, which is why I really like playing Droplets. It's just an insane card. But yeah, they're going to normal summon out their their Fractal, and then link off into the Bearbrum, then activate the Bearbrum effect in order to search out Revolt, return a card, set 1, 2, and 3, and pass. Now, this was before I was playing a Harpy's Feather Duster, but you don't really need to play that card. You could play other such cards. But we draw Ash Blossom here, which isn't the greatest. I am going to activate the Swordsoul Emergence here, and then I am going to chain to their Imperial Order, which they are playing, which does hurt, the Forbidden Droplets. So I'm going to just Forbidden Droplets away this Apo so that we don't have to deal with it. We just have to deal with the Revolt and whatever this potential set card is. So we are going to go and they're going to negate our Emergence, but at the very least we do get the effect of the Droplets. They're going to Max C again, but luckily we still have the Ash Blossom, so we can Ash Blossom their Max C and be A-okay. They're going to try and cross out here, but, you know, IO. So we're going to summon out the long one here, and then they make a rather large mistake here, and I will show you why in a second. They're going to summon out their Shureg here, and they are going to banish a card. And, okay. So, here are the options that they can go for with the banish on Shureg. They can go for the long one, they can go for the token. So, what we have in grave is a Vishada. Vishada can potentially bounce something, but the token kind of just sits there and doesn't really do anything. We can't link it off or anything unless we have a normal summon that is specifically not a tuner, which this deck does play quite a bit of, or another Tenyi. Then banishing this, it doesn't really do anything. But if they banish the long one, we do get the effect of the Vishada. So either way, we are either going to have a Vishada activation, or we are going to have just a 2300 body on our side of the field and potentially something else. So from the opponent's side, it does make the most sense to banish something like the token so that we can't Vishada here and, you know, shuffle back the Shureg, and then hopefully we don't have a normal summon, or more specifically, hopefully we don't have something that we can actually go into off of the long one. So, yeah. And if we were to Vishada here and bounce, we wouldn't have something like a Taya or something along those lines. So, again, banishing the token does make sense. However, because we actually drew the brick in the Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion, we actually win the game right here, and I will show you how. We're going to normal summon the O-Lion. We are going to go into a Crystron Halqifibrax, and at this point, we will special summon out from the Crystron Halqifibrax, as well as the token. So we are going to special summon out the Despot 001, as well as the token, then use the Vishada to bounce the Shureg. Shureg doesn't get its effect, and we can immediately go into Auroradon. Auroradon effect is going to give us 1, 2, and 3 tokens. Despot 001 is going to come back. We all know this combo. If you don't, it is very dumb. Now, Yazi comes out. Yazi is going to pop itself and the Apollosa. The reason I go for the Apollosa here is because I actually don't care about its IO. There are a few cards that I do care about, which is annoying, but in all honesty, it's not that big of a deal. We're going to special summon out the Taya off of the Yazi here, and then we are going to banish the... Sorry, we're going to banish the long one in order to get our token, which is a tuner, and then we will go for the Boral Sword. We will also send off of the Taya a... Jeez and Crow, I can't speak. We're gonna banish, or sorry, send in a Shana, banish the Adhara, and then we're locked into Worm, so we can't really do anything, but at least we have the Adhara, and we are able to pop with our Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion, or Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon, the IO, and then just proceed to battle. They're gonna activate their Kairos, they're gonna banish some cards, they're gonna go for 4, and we just negate this. It's pretty simple. So we're gonna negate the Kairos, they're gonna go to battle, they're gonna walk over this token, but the game is over at this point, and they realize after I draw Emergence that the game is over. Alright, so here we are actually playing up against a Adamancipator build. And you will see that, well, this is what has happened to Adamancipator. So they're going to reveal a whole bunch of stuff. They're going to special summon out the... this card is actually crazy. Let me show you it. This is actually a very, very solid card that I'm surprised the Adamancipator players weren't playing previously. But Xenoguitar, this card, when it is sent to the graveyard, you can target a rock monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then place a card from your hand onto the top of the deck. And if it's banished, you can send a rock monster to the graveyard. So this card's absolutely crazy. I don't know why they weren't previously playing it, but oh well. They're going to special summon out their Supplier, and then special summon out the Researcher. Then they are going to banish for Gigantes. Then they will send the Revival Golem. Revival Golem will allow them to go into Gallant Granite with the Supplier. Then with this guy, they will search out a whole bunch of... I'm just going to fast forward through this. They search out the Block Dragon. They go into Appaloosa here, and then they special summon out the Block Dragon. They're going to go for 10 for the Baron de Fleur. And then they will activate their effect to search out 3 cards. All of the Adamancipators, Researcher, Seeker, Analyzer. Thank you. They're going to bring back the Block Dragon and then reveal a whole bunch of cards, and they whiff, but they are going to just special summon out the Seeker again. They're going to go make a Predaplant Verity Anaconda and then go into DPE. Now, hear me out. I will always do this. If you have a Predaplant Verity Anaconda on your side of the field, along with DPE, get rid of the Verite. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. It's not worth it. Get rid of it. Now, granted, I understand fearing that your DPE might be called by in the draw phase, but in all honesty, trust me, just get rid of the Verite Anaconda. Don't play around the 2-of that is called by the grave. Play around the fact that this guy has 500 attack and can potentially kill you. You're currently at 6,000 life points, keep that in mind. So, they're going to set a card. This looks like a very formidable board. An Omni Negate, Apollosa, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Absolutely scary. But we're going to drop Emergence. They're going to let it go through. I'm going to drop Called By as well, and then they max CS. And I go, oh no! Okay, that kind of sucks. But I still have to drop lists here. While I did have to use the Called By, the reason that I did this was because now I can send 1 monster from my hand instead of 2. Which now allows me to ban it or hit all of the major targets, notably the DPE, the Apollosa, and the Baron, without having to utilize any more cards in hand while getting as much value as I can. So that's why I did this the way that I did. So I'm going to banish the Celestial, which with the Called By, and then we're going to search out the Taya with the Emergence. We're going to use the effect of our Long One in order to go for a 10 here, and we go for the Supreme Cheng Ying. Now, this card, for each banished card, gains 100 attack and defense, and your opponent's monsters lose 100 attack and defense. So, if you've realized what's happening, I'm about to OTK my opponent. Not only are we going to burn them for 12 with Long One, we also have Taya, which is another 1800 damage, as well as this guy who is currently 38. Also, he's just very difficult for my opponent to deal with. They're going to call by our Protoss instead of preventing the burn damage. But because they banished our card, guess what? We get to banish Block Dragon. Also Dasher. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to proceed to battle and win the game. Adamancipators, ladies and gentlemen. If you wonder where they went, that's where they went. Alright, so here we are, once again with O-Lion in our hand, but going second with Nibiru. And my opponent sets 2 and passes. Okay. Fine. We won't do anything. But we do have Vishara Adhara, which is absolutely crazy. Any 2 Tenyis is very, very strong. So we are going to go for Monk of the Tenyi, and then they will drop the Maxi here. I'm going to just try and bounce a card, and it's Dynamicious. Okay, and there's the Eldritch. Well, I might as well go for Moye. Moye, reveal the Adhara, special summon the token, send a Shana with the Vessel here, and then add the Vishara. Then I go for the Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, because I'm like, well, maybe it can banish the Golden Lord when it activates its effect. That's not how it works. I should have just gone Chi Shao. But I mean, it's big, so who cares? We draw off of the Moye. We draw Called By, which is the absolute best draw here. And yeah, we're going to set that Called By and pass the turn. They did end up summoning out their Guardian of the Golden Land. So they're going to use their Eldritch, and we're just going to banish it and prevent you from playing the game. Thank you. Have a nice night. So we're going to pass the turn, or sorry, they're going to set 1 and pass the turn, and then they will get 2 other cards here. Now, we have the potential to go into a 10 here with our Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, as well as our Mecha Phantom Beast O-Lion. And, hopefully, we're able to go into a 10. That's the plan. There are a lot of 10s. All of our 10s are pretty they're pretty good. We draw the second Adhara, feels bad. But the best one is Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying. I know I literally just used this one in the previous duel, but this card is very, very good, specifically in this matchup. They're going to try and destroy us. Cool, doesn't matter. We're going to banish some cards. So that's the plan. We're going to banish all of their Eldritches. So we're going to activate the Mecha Phantom Beast, and they are going to chain their Conquistador as well as their Eldlixir. Now, they haven't read my cards, and they summoned from the deck instead of trying to summon with this guy. Right. They could have summoned from the grave, brought this guy out from the grave. Would have had the same results. They would have still had an Eldritch in the deck. However, we are just going to banish a card, and then At this point, the game is over. We're going to banish all of the Eldliches. Guess what? All 1, 2, and 3 of the Eldliches are gone. So there you go. We're going to activate the Ashana here, and, well, okay. And then we're going to bounce the Vishuddha in order to... Oh, yeah, I mean, they scoop it up, but yeah, we bounce the Conquistador because it's not going to do anything, and then we add back the Ashana, and they end the game. They're realizing they can't do anything. So, as you can see, this deck is absolutely crazy. It is very easy. It has a very low skill floor, but there are a wide variety of different combos and algorithms and deck lists and etc. that you can be playing, which makes it a very high skill ceiling. There's so many different things that you can do, making it very expressive. It's one of my favorite decks in the past like couple of years. Since the release of like Dark Lords and Ritual Beasts, this is probably my okay, it's not quite as good as Literalist Tri-Brigade in my opinion, but it is incredibly fun, and it's definitely in my top 5 favorite decks of all time. It's genuinely just a fun deck. It does so many different things so very well. It utilizes not just one attribute, which I also very much so like, as well as just utilizing the ability to have powerful combo starters and insane follow-ups and just really powerful cards overall. That all just kind of synergize really well together. So it's very fun. And Protoss is a house, and the fact that it is searchable is disgusting, and this card should... Actually, this card isn't so much the problem, but the Swordsoul cards, I wouldn't be surprised if something does get hit in the next ban list, whenever that comes out. All in all, though, this deck is very fun. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy, though. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated, and if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.